In this video, I'm going to be showing you how I airbrush this Meteor artwork. Let's get into it right now. So to begin the Meteor artwork, I'm using an A3 canvas, but I want to paint it black. You can also get black canvases, so feel free to use them as well. And I'm just using some Trident black here, about 3/4 full. Then I'm going to add a little bit of reducer in here, not much at all. So definitely not a 1-to-1 mix, because I want this to cover. And just putting my finger over that breather hole, give that a shake. Now from a distance, just dusting on the black. You can try and get a 50-50 overlap. You can see I'm not really getting a perfect one at this stage. I just want to get it done nice and quick. You can use like a mini spray gun or even a trigger airbrush if you want to do this a little bit quicker. But I prefer doing lighter coats and then just building it up rather than just saturating the surface. That way each coat can dry in between. And I find that way I never have any issues with adhesion. Not that I'm going to be masking on this. This will all be freehand, but you've got to keep that in mind. Just spin it around and I'll black this edge as well. Give it one more coat. Now I'm going to use white and just lay out the underpainting of the artwork. So I'm just going to sketch in where I want the Meteor to go. And obviously we're going to have a nice long tail. Doing a bit of a dagger stroke or rat tail stroke as they're also known. So you're further away and then tapering it off. So further away, then moving in and tapering it off. Meaning shutting off your paint. So my trigger finger is moving forward as I move along the stroke. That's the main structure of the Meteor. And then I'm also going to put this, another little dagger stroke coming off the sides to show that it's flying through the atmosphere at incredible speed. So you can see this opaque white, the more you coat it, the brighter it's going to get. So to fast track your learning, you can definitely check out our online airbrushing course at airbrushasilum.thinkific.com. And I'm going to have a bit of a glow along here and running right up through that tail. So you can copy this one exactly, or you can tweak it to make it your own, whatever you like. And remember, you've still got the black, so if you need to erase anything, then just use that as your eraser, that'll work. So if you make a mistake, grab your black it out, and just go back over with your white. You can see I'm already getting a bit of movement, which is great. I'm going to add in some stars now, just using this little bit of timber which stretches your canvas. I'm going to angle my airbrush down onto it with the needle nearly touching, and the further back you go, the larger the spatters, the further up front or towards the front of the bit of timber, the finer the spatters. So you can control it with this. You can also drop your air pressure down or just flick it with a toothbrush. Either will work. I like using this method because I do have control over it, as I use it quite often. So I'm just going to add in some of those spatters around the Meteor, trying not to go too much over the top of it. So again, controlling it. And again, you can vary the size quite easily. Now I'm just going to add in some larger stars. So just doing a dot white highlight, a bit of a glow, and a variety of different sizes. Using this template, I'm just going to add in a planet in the background. Yeah, I'll just use this one, I can fix it up. And see the back of that template's a bit uneven, so what I can do is make that disappear into the shadow. Any overspray I get, I can eliminate with the black. And just using the white, just colour that in. Because this is canvas, I could have used some spray adhesive as well to help it stay flat, but again, I'm not too concerned. I can easily fix it. Again, just building up that white, letting the air dry it a little bit. And then remove the template. You can see very quick planet, which I'll now render a bit more as well. Now just using that white, do some freehand in here. Oh, and you can see it's blasted out on me. That was just a bit of tip drying and it's pushed its way through. If that does happen, just let that dry off and I can hide that as part of the texture. No big deal, you can see it's almost gone. So don't stress if you make mistakes. Happens to everyone, as you can see. I'm usually always onto the tip drying and have it well controlled, but every now and then it can slip through. So just filling that in. I'm going to render it more when I get up to the other colours, but at this stage it's just to add a bit of white in those sections. And now using black, I'm going to dust over this part here just to knock that into the background and just to make it look like the planet is emerging. Again, I can go back over parts of it with the white. How much that just blends it into the background, gives it a nice effect. And while I've got the black, I'm just going to do a little bit of detailing as well. So a little bit up close, some a bit further back. Get some variety in there, making it look a bit more like a planet. That'll do. Now what I want to do is get some bright colour in there, so some fire colour. So I'm going to start with the yellow, this time using the Createx illustration colours because I want this to be transparent because I've got a nice white base there. So just dusting over that white section. Remember, I can still come in with white later on. Dusting over the tail. You can see how nicely that blends and also how bright that is. Some of this overspray too I'm going to hit with that yellow. I'm going to put a little bit of glow on here as well, just to tie it in. So I just did that yellow to add a bit of reflection from the Meteor. So because the next color now is going to be orange, the beauty of that is that I can just tip this out and just put the orange straight in there, even without cleaning it out. Doesn't matter if it tints a little, I'm going to blast it through. Just keep in mind though, if you are going to use this method, that you are going to waste more paint. And even if there are traces of yellow, it doesn't matter. And now bringing that orange in. Just feather that through. I want the center to stay pretty much yellow. And just using that orange to blend on either side of the tail from the Meteor. Again, I'm going to add in some of that orange in here. So now I'm going to do the same thing with red, meaning I'm going to add that to my cup, but you cannot tip this paint back into the orange because obviously there's still going to be traces of yellow in there. So just keep that in mind if you want to keep this one nice and clean. Now adding in some scarlet. I'm going to once again dust this in, this time focusing on the outer edge. So the furthest edge from that yellow center. Few coats just to build it up, and also using it on the very edge of the tail just to blend that as well. And also blending on that planet. And I'll go up a bit closer and add a bit of texture in as well. Now using some Trident sepia brown, I'm going to start to airbrush in the actual Meteor. So I'll just test the colour here, see how it opaques. It's doing a pretty good job. So I want to be up nice and close, not right to the edge. And you don't want to be too even with it. You could get a template if you wish, but I'm just going to do this freehand. And I want to make it big enough so there's a bit of impact. I have some stray bits here. Might keep some of that yellow showing through, so it looks like those bits are breaking up and they're completely hot and burning. More little fragments coming off here. So just keep rendering until you're happy. I think I'm almost done with this. You can already see it's got some movement, which is great. I'm going to use this tone as well just to bring in some toning in the planet. Now using white, I want to run around this edge. I'm going to be a bit more deliberate with it now. And see how much that little bit of white changes the whole look of it. And then some highlights on this really hot section of the Meteor. Now I'm just going to brighten up this tail. Put a highlight on these fragments. Add in some highlights on the planet. So this time I had to wash out the airbrush because I'm putting yellow in after having that red in there, so I want the yellow to be nice and clean. And what I'm going to do with the yellow is just bring that back over these parts here. So hitting that edge. just letting the overspray travel in a little bit. You know what? I'll just go over the whole lot because I can go back over it with white and it's just going to add to the depth. I want a little bit of that overspray on there anyway. And same up here. And now just the extreme hot spots. So obviously the front of this. And also the front of the Meteor. Still going to leave a bit of that yellow showing. And then just in these sections where we've got that hottest section, I'm going to airbrush these in as well. Not all the way down. Sort of finishing up around there. More little highlights back in on the planet. Now for some final detailing, I'm going to use a transparent black. This is already pre-mixed, and this is transparent base mixed with black and also reducer. And I'm just going to use this nice and sharp just to get all that detail out. And as you can see, it's going to give it some contrast. few little details so I'm not just colouring in. Just adding a bit of texture as well, so it's not flat. And just darkening off some of those fragments, again to give it some nice contrast against that bright yellow. And now I'll render back into the planet as well with this transparent black. And a few more little fragments here and there, finish it off. And just going to get the black and dust over this, a little bit of overspray there.